Okay, so for this video, you have to guess if it's a Marvel character or DC character, and then you have to say what the name is. And I'm here with my friend. So here's the first one. Is this Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Okay, and what would you name this person?
He reminds me of Doctor Strange because of the little thingies around his hands, the magic. Mm-hmm. But the thingy in the middle of his, like, armor, it reminds me of, like, the little gender signs, so we're gonna name him Gender because I don't know.
Do you want me to tell you who he is?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a DC character. Kind of similar to Doctor Strange a little bit with his powers and what he does. He kind of keeps order like Doctor Strange does. So his name is Dr. Fate. And this is like a host body, and the real Dr. Fate is stored in the helmet. So whoever puts on the helmet becomes Dr. Fate.
That's mildly terrifying.
Anyways, moving on. Who's that?
That's Wolverine.
Yeah, good job.
He's not from Marvel, he's from X-Men. Is that DC or Marvel?
X-Men is part of Marvel. I'm
Good
sorry.
to know.
I'm sorry.
That's Captain Marvel from Marvel. We went to see her movie together when we were, like, babies. Not really. We weren't that young, but
this was not that long ago.
We felt like babies.
Yeah. And then who's that?
Captain Marvel from DC, because we talked about this when her movie came out, and you told me that how Marvel and DC, like, go back and forth with a lot of ideas when the comic books were out. And then this was Captain Marvel that was a dude, but he was in DC. Yeah. And he was kind of a genius, but I think you said he was a child. This is not a child.
Yeah, yes and no, and just about everything you said. Yes, this is DC. His name was originally Captain Marvel, but Marvel copyrighted the name, so now he goes by Shazam.
That's what it was.
And for the smart thing, he has the wisdom of Solomon, but only when he's an adult. He's kind of like Link in Ocarina of Time. He says Shazam, and he's a kid, but then he turns to an adult. He says Shazam again, now he's an adult, and he turns to a kid.
Is the resemblance to the Flash, was that on purpose?
I have no idea, actually. When he says Shazam, he gets struck by lightning, so maybe that's it. He more rivals Superman when you watch him in action, because they have really similar powers.
That makes sense. He kind of looks like comic-style Superman.
He really does look like Superman. Alright, next. Who's that?
He's very small.
Correct.
Because he's Ant-Man.
Okay, good job. And
we saw that movie together too. We were actually smaller then, because that was...
Alright, so that's Marvel?
Yes.
Nice. Alright, who's that?
That looks like an atom in the background. He's
yes.
also very small because he's in someone's hand, apparently. Nuclear Man.
You were close. Is this Marvel or DC?
DC, because the last one was Marvel.
Yeah, okay, so you were close. He's the Atom, and he's basically Ant-Man, but for DC.
Is it because he's the size of an atom? Like, or not but...
He can get really small.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
I don't know too much about him, although he can get small. Alright, what's that?
That is a great question.
Ugly.
Scary. That is from my nightmares, but I'm gonna call him Sludge.
Is it Marvel or DC?
DC.
Yes, it's DC, but his name is Clayface, if I'm not mistaken.
That makes sense.
Yep. Alright, what's that?
I recognize him. It's Marvel.
Uh-huh.
Because I recognize it looks like a Marvel movie.
You're right, okay.
Give me a second. I know it. I don't know it, so I'm gonna call him Rockman.
Rockman. This is The Thing. He's part of the Fantastic Four, which is part of Marvel.
That does make sense.
Alright.
I knew that, actually.
Who's that?
That is Hawkeye, but not from the movies.
Yeah.
He's from Marvel.
Yep.
He got a whole show about him. I didn't watch it yet.
Alright, and last but not least, who's that?
That is a DC man with a... I almost said a gun. That is a DC man with a bow and arrow. Hang on a minute. See, I wanted to say Green Lantern, but I know that's not Green Lantern.
Green Lantern?
But he's green. DC Green Man.
Green Man? This is, Green Arrow.
Oh, he had a show too, didn't he?
He did.
They did crossovers with The Flash, right?
Yes, they did.
That's where I know from.
Yeah. His name is Oliver.
That's my dog's name.
He looks...
He doesn't look like my dog.
I'd hope not. Okay. So that's all we got for this one, and maybe we'll do it again later. All right. Bye.
Bye.